It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Tuesday, November 4th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that's bummed out about Tyson Foerster being on IR.
Yeah, you knew it was coming.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade. I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 20 years, Russ Cohen. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. To keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on all your favorite socials, and of course, here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ, we are going to get to our Phantoms Tuesday prospect report. A lot of interesting things going on in Lehigh Valley that's been directly related to the injuries and such with the Flyers. So we're going to get into that and kind of who's been standing out this week. But Tyson Foerster officially going on IR, retroactive to November 1st. So at least that'll give him the opportunity to come back a little sooner.
It depends.
If he's feeling okay, but
we don't know it. We don't know what the imaging is, and there's a good chance it's 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that plays out for him, but it's a double-edged sword here, right? Because Tyson Foerster is a huge part of this Flyers offense, obviously a huge part of that line there, and they put
Their
Owen
best
Tippett.
line.
Yeah, their best line. They put Owen Tippett in that spot, but I don't think that worked quite well.
You didn't even notice him.
Right.
Yeah, it did not work.
And it certainly didn't help Noah Cates and Bobby Brink either. So I do wonder if they're going to shuffle some stuff around there to make it, the most ideal possible, given everything, especially playing the Montreal Canadiens, who we're going to talk about shortly. But
I mean, here's a crazy idea. You could put Matt Mitchkop on that line.
Yeah, I do think Bobby Brink is somebody who you could rotate around to the other side and he would be okay, and then put Mitchkop on the right.
Yeah,
I don't hate that idea at all. I think I would try it, certainly.
I would try it.
Yeah.
Better than the guys played with last game.
Yeah, and I think Cates would be a good center for him as well, because he would just be in the right place at the right time automatically, no questions asked. So I like that as a possibility. We'll see what Rick Tocchet has in store. The other side of that double-edged sword is that it gives the Flyers the roster spot to officially call Emil Andre back up, which Rick Tocchet had said he really wanted to do. But with the Couturier injury, they had to call up Jacob Gaucher, and then that's why Andre was sent down. But it's good to have Emil Andre back on the roster.
If he's going to play.
Right.
Rick could say he wanted him back on the roster, and that may be true. He may want him on the roster, but he actually has to give him minutes. He also talks about, how much he likes Gurbankin and then puts him on the fourth line and doesn't give him minutes. So, like I said, you always have to take what coaches say with a grain of salt.
Right. So we'll see if he checks in. I certainly hope he would, and he should, against the Montreal Canadiens, because the Habs are one of the top stories of the NHL this season so far. They are atop the Atlantic Division early, showing incredible signs of success there. Recently signed Lane Hudson to an 8-year extension, which good for them. Honestly, it's a good deal. And they had one of the most sneaky good off seasons, because it wasn't super splashy, but getting Noah Dobson and Zach Bolduc, that was a really good, I think, way to round out the young team that they had already had.
I mean, I talked about both, but especially Dobson till I was blue in the face, because I felt like coming off the year from the Islanders, Islander fans had just down talked him so much that I think people just forgot how good he actually is. And
the problem was the Islanders. The problem was not him.
Yeah, they had a bad season. Matt Barzal didn't play. Those things affected him too. Of course, he was going to do well in this new environment, and they got him on a steal. So, this is how you build a blue line. Because honestly, 2 years ago, their blue line was awful, and last year it was getting a little better. Now it's it's starting to take shape.
Right. And I think everything is starting to come together for this team. Now, is it sustainable through a whole season?
We don't know.
That's the test for Montreal, right? And
Right.
and we'll see. One thing we do know is that in this season so far, the Habs are excellent at home so far.
Yeah.
They're 4-1. They're on a 3-game winning streak. The last 2 games they won in overtime and in
We have
dramatic
a guy named Cole
fashion.
Caulfield's pretty good in overtime, I hear.
Oh my god. It is never gonna stop hurting. That
It is.
that pick is never going to stop hurting.
Yeah. But he is a
But
work in overtime, literally.
oh, he is. He is. The Habs also have the top shooting percentage in the NHL right now at 14.1%. Just for comparison, the Flyers are 16th at 11%. So the difference in percent is very small, but to go 3 percentage points down, that drops the Flyers to mid-league on that front. I mean, shows how important it is.
Yes, it does show the importance of the stat. And of course, it's like, yes, it's only 3 percentage points, but it's over a course of, 13 games, let's say. So like the eye test tells you that, there's a difference here.
Right. And of course, we bring up that stat because it's what we've been talking about
Yeah.
for the last week or so with the Flyers
2
shooting
years,
is that
depending on how long you've
right.
been listening.
That is also fair. But I think relative to the last week or so, in terms of what Rick Tocchet specifically as a new
Yes.
coach has been emphasizing with the team, he wants them to shoot more. Okay, he's like, now they need to actually hit the target more. And that's
Right.
where the shooting percentage comes in.
Yeah. I mean, again, we had talked about certain situations. The most obvious one was last game was Travis Konecny coming down on the wing and then last second passes it. You had a clear lane to shoot. All you had to do was stop and shoot, and he passed it. And it just shows that it
Yeah.
gets in these guys' heads, and they feel like they have to be these unselfish guys, and the coach is telling you, no, be selfish. And some of them just can't do it. And, Christian Dvorak, I mean, is he the ideal guy to have on a breakaway? No, but he's an NHLer. He should hit the net. He didn't even get
Right.
close to hitting the net on that. Like, I
I
actually
know
think
that
Dustin
that
Wolf
was
was
rough.
stunned. I think he was stunned on that play because he was all ready to like kind of, play the angle. And it's like, wait a minute, this didn't even go near me.
No. No, and I think where that shooting accuracy really, comes to a head in a matchup against the Habs is on the power play, where,
Yes.
the Flyers are, to be fair to them, kind of where we were targeting them to be at the beginning of the
Yes.
season in terms of a goal to be, either at the top of the bottom third or the bottom of the second third in the NHL, which is kind of where they are now, in
Right.
19th place. The Habs are in 6th in the NHL at the moment with a 28.6% percent power play. That is tough to battle. Now, the Flyers have the top penalty. They're tied for the top
Yeah.
penalty kill in
It's
the
been
league right
really good.
now. It's been really, really good. And so that's the matchup that I'm actually most interested in seeing. Now, I do not want the Habs to get a power play. Like, don't
No,
take
you
2
really
stupid
don't.
penalties for this. But should that occur, I'm very intrigued by that
Oh yeah, that's a
matchup.
big matchup in that game for sure. I think everybody's going to look at that matchup because it really will put the Flyers penalty kill to the test for sure.
Yeah, and the Habs top line are gonna be the guys that'll do it,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because they're part of that top, power play unit for them with Caulfield and Suzuki and Slavkovsky, and Slavkovsky has had a little bit of a bumpy road,
Yeah.
getting up to speed, but putting him on that top line with Suzuki and Caulfield has done wonders
And
for
he's a
his
big body, and if he
confidence.
goes down low, he's hard to handle.
Exactly, and so Slavkovsky already has 3 power play goals
Yeah.
on the season as a result of the excellent play by Suzuki, who's one of the top scorers in the
He's
league
an elite
right
center.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just is. So again, and they acquired him via trade, like from Vegas. People forget, like he actually was a Vegas prospect.
Yeah.
It seems like forever ago. Like, but these are the kinds of things that could transform a team. And that top line is a tremendous top line. Like it's one of the best in hockey.
Yeah, and so I think with a not 100% Sean Couturier
Mm-hmm.
out there, like Noah Cates is gonna be the guy that's gonna have to go up against that line, I
It's
think.
tough. He
It's
was
gonna
getting,
be really tough.
yeah, again, I just feel like he'll give you his all. I don't know what he's going to be able to do, but he went up against Kadri. Kadri might be a little better on faceoffs than Suzuki, maybe. So, but just coverage on defense will be harder. Now, Cates could do that. It's the faceoffs you worry about.
Yeah. Now, the other problem facing Montreal is the goaltending, and their goaltending has been much better than I think was projected. And Lucas Dobeš is on a great streak to start
on
the
a heater.
season here. Yeah. He was named third star in the NHL for October. He's definitely their number one at this point over Montembeault. So, I think it is going to be tough to score on this Montreal team with their, I think, up-leveled blue line as well as good goaltending.
Yeah, like Montembeault is kind of like as the game goes, he goes kind of guy. Dobeš is a fiery guy, and he has a little size to him, and he's athletic. And so the team does really rally behind him. Not that they didn't for Montembeault, but it's kind of like a different vibe. And so you'll see that. You'll see that in action, and he will make some really spectacular saves at time. So, yeah, in Montreal, with them playing hot like that, this is a hard game. And, they're coming off a couple losses, and they're only 1-3-1 on the road, something like that, which is not ideal.
Right. And, we didn't even talk about Demidov, really. And
No, and he's on the
another
top
one.
power play now.
I know.
He's tied for the rookie, points lead with 10. So,
yeah. Yeah, so this is going to be a tough matchup, but I think it's a really good opportunity for the Flyers to have a reset from those two losses and just get away.
You want
and
to show something, do it there.
Yeah, this would be a statement game for the Flyers. So looking forward to seeing what they can do tonight against Montreal, and rooting to not hear the Ale Ale song at all, watching it on the broadcast. In the meantime, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms had a pretty good week, all things considered, with a lot of the tumult around the roster. We're going to get into their results, standout players, and what's up with our top prospects coming up next. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That is why there is Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. So if you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does all the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending. You'll finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. It even helps you notice inefficient investment allocations and discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. It'll help you save even more money, which you can then turn around and reinvest. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. On tomorrow's show, we will, of course, break down what happened in that game against Montreal. Plus, we're going to answer your mailbag questions, so make sure you get those in. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com, send us a message on any of our socials, or comment on our YouTube channel. So the Lehigh Valley Phantoms had a pretty decent week with 2 overtime wins against Hartford and a loss to the Montreal affiliate Laval, 3-0. That was a shutout. And so, that was not a great start to the week overall, but I wouldn't say they necessarily played badly. I think they just could not get it done, scoring wise.
Yeah.
I think it was just kind of one of those games for sure there. And of course, with all of the upheaval with the Tuomaala trade for Christian Kyrou, I think we talked about this trade as being a change of scenery for both guys.
Yes.
And so far, so good with both of them. I know there's always the initial adrenaline rush.
We stole them. Listen, the Dallas Stars are not a dumb organization.
That's not where I was going at all.
Okay, because I see a lot of that already.
No, it's just that after the initial shock of the trade, there's usually some initial success, and then things kind of level out when you do a change of scenery trade. And that happened for both guys, right? Because Samu Tuomaala got a goal in his first game with Texas, so good for him. Christian Kyrou, after traveling really late, had to play the next day because of the Emil Andre call-up, played on a team with guys he did not know, had to quarterback the power play because Emil Andre wasn't back on time to play that game, and had a really, really good game, and then an even better second game where he got a goal and an assist. So really, really happy for him there. But again, we'll see where he ends up fitting into the lineup again with Emil Andre back up with the Flyers.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is they were looking for someone to possibly replace Andre, knowing that he would be getting called up a lot this year. And adrenaline's a wonderful thing, and it really did work. He's a talented guy, like I said, but at the AHL level, he's a really good player.
Right. So again, with the Jacob Gaucher call up as well, Sawyer Bolton had been sent to Reading. They had to call up Yaniv Peretz for the goaltending spot because Aleksei Kolosov is up with the Flyers. So lots and lots of churn, changed the lineup, changed the lines. Dennis Gilbert is out because he's hurt now. There was like a kneeing penalty, which was not great for him. So lots and lots of changes to the Phantoms lineup, but that's John Snowden's job, right? Is to roll with all those punches.
That's where an AHL coach is a hard job, because you are at the mercy of what happens to the rest of the organization. It always ends up pulling from your team, pulling like consistency, like lines. It rips apart lines. It rips apart pairings. Goaltending gets changed in a heartbeat. Like, these are things that AHL coaches get used to.
Yeah, and they have to, and that's why it's good that Snowden had some experience, at the AHL level, not as a head coach before he was put in this position, so he kind of understood the ebbs and flows of it. But when all is said and done, the Phantoms are in third in the Atlantic. There's some points percentage and games played differences there, but it's so early, you can't really put too much weight in any of that. But they're 6-3, 0-1, 10 games into the season. Last two games were wins against Hartford. Very pleased. So I think this is a really good start overall for the Phantoms.
It's a good start. The one thing that they have consistent with last year is they take too many penalties, but
that
it is
true.
A good start.
Yeah, I think that's kind of their one major weakness. And I think that obviously the blue line is still suffering, and that's part of the reason why Kyrou was brought in to kind of help bolster that there. And I would say, the couple of issues that I have with what's going on right now is directly related to some of the roster changes that I've already talked about. But there's some pros and cons to it, because you look at this team with the key prospects and who we're looking to develop, right? Because that's the number one thing we want out of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms is good prospect development. And I would say Carson Duarte, Alex Bump, and Devin Kaplan are your three top Phantoms prospects now, right? Again, with Bonk and Ethan Sampson hurt, like putting them aside.
Bonk is the mystery. I see him, in the press box, and I have no idea how long he's going to be out. Like, this is just, they really do need to give an update at some point, because he just literally went from, hey, I'm going to be in there that first, exhibition
we do
game.
know it's like 6 weeks ish, but I think we just have to put him aside as far as the top prospects for now, just in terms of who, because we have to evaluate who's playing, right? So, and I would say on the blue line side, it's Helge Grans, who's the top defensive prospect that's currently playing for the team. And then of course the goaltending, but Kolosov is up with the Flyers. So it's Carson Bjarnason on the goaltending side of things. So that's like your top group there, right? And for a couple weeks, they had a line together of those prospects were all on one line, with Bump, Duarte, and Kaplan all on one line. And they played together in that 3-0 shutout loss, right? And then after that, because of some of the changes and because of that loss, Snowden broke them up. And so all three of them were on different lines. And I think in some ways it was a good thing, because if you're trying to help teach them and grow their game, putting them with veterans is never a bad idea.
No.
But in some ways, I don't like it, because I kind of wanted them to push through and let's see what they can do
Right.
together for a sustained period of time.
Yeah, you'd like to see it for 5 or 6 games, and now you don't
Right.
know if they'll pivot back to that, because there's always so many combinations they could do. So I get it. And look, and I know people are excited because there was a little bump in the points on Alex Bump, but he's still, he's still having a rough season. Like, he needs to, pick it up. And that's where I think your point is even more valid, because of having those consistent line mates for him would really help.
Yeah, and I think, the success of the Phantoms overall is very important in terms of the win-loss column, in terms of
Sure.
making the playoffs, and we have talked about that ad nauseum. However, with the prospect development, figuring out that balance is a huge challenge for this team here. And speaking to those top prospects, all three of those guys, Duarte, Bump, and Kaplan, got off to a banger of a start on the season, but have
Oh, we
cooled
forgot
off.
Denver Barkey too.
Yeah, I would put him in the second tier, though,
Okay,
like
that's
with
fair.
Alexis Gendron and Jacob Gaucher,
Well,
honestly.
I would put Gendron in a different tier below Barkey, but Gaucher's in a weird spot, because
Yeah.
I feel like he's like an NHL depth guy. I feel like that's what he is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think that's
so
fair.
I don't
I
think
think
he's
that's
like a
fair.
long-term guy like the other ones might be. And Gendron, I
Yeah.
really don't know, because if he can't really light it up in the AHL, I don't know if he'll ever get an NHL real chance, other than, hey, we need some offense, we'll call him up for a little while.
Right, but I think those three are the three that are closest to the NHL
No,
of
that's true.
anybody on the Phantoms. So, they have cooled off quite a bit. We're going to talk about those stats and what the Phantoms have done to kind of make up for that, and what it all means, and so much more with the Phantoms coming up next.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who'll score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you could even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. Again, I would go the under with the Brooklyn Nets. So far, they're not disappointing at 0-6. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Hockey season is well underway, and nothing beats being in the arena for those games. But let's be real, getting tickets can sometimes be a total headache, between waiting in online queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on the Flyers. And that's where Gametime comes in. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. One of my favorite features of the app is you can see exactly what your seat view is going to look like before you buy the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Also, their zone deals are a game changer, where you pick the section and Gametime picks the exact seats where you can save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. I recently used Gametime to grab seats for a concert, and it couldn't have been simpler. I had great seats in minutes. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. So, continuing our conversation about some of these top prospects cooling off a little bit and what the Phams have been doing to compensate, I think, I'm not worried about it yet, because there are ebbs and flows to the season. These are young developing players, and they're going to have ups and downs to their season. But one of the things that I think has been missing from the Phantoms in the past is an ability to compensate for that when the top guys aren't scoring, right? So
Yeah.
Carson Duarte not gotten a point in the last 4 games. Alex Bump, was on a little bit of a rocky road. But he's been in the negative 3 of his last 5 games. He had a goal and 2 assists in that 5-game period, but 3 of those 5 games were without any points.
Yeah.
Devin Kaplan, no points in 6 games. Helge Grans, no points this week, right? So like, how are the Phantoms winning then? Well, if you look at their points leaders now, right, it's a little upside down from what you want it to be, but it's early going. So these stats aren't going to be reflective of what they will be when you have like 30 games
Right.
under their belt here. But Anthony Richard, is scoring. So he's the top point getter right now. Tucker Robertson, who was brought in this year, has been an excellent addition to them as an AHL level guy. 2 goals and 4 assists so far. Garrett Wilson has been stepping up, and that's part of that fourth line on the Phantoms
Right.
with Zaid Wisdom. So Zaid Wisdom is also on the top scorers sheet at the moment with 2 goals and 3 assists. Very interesting, right? And of course, like Emile Andre has been like the king of assists from the blue line on this team, but he's like kind of back and forth.
He's in transit half the time.
Right. So you can't really count on that from a consistency standpoint for scoring, because you want him with the Flyers as much as possible.
Right.
So all of that being said, I am very pleased that they seem to, at least in the early goings, have put together some AHL veterans that are the kind of support you want for your prospects as they're going through their developmental learning process.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. They're finding a way to win. At some point, you want to see these guys sort of kick in,
Right.
And that's what we're looking for.
Exactly. So I think for now it's fine, but when we're at the 30 game point, we should have those top guys be the scoring leaders on this team, and they should be within some sort of range of the scoring leaders in the league overall. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case with the Phantoms, because the Phantoms are just not big scorers
They're
overall,
not
and they
scoring
never
a
have
ton.
been.
We know this.
But I do think, as far as on the team scoring leaders, like, we really need to see those prospects be a significant part of the top 6 or 7 guys on the team.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
Without
that's how you're going to look at them and say, okay, there's real improvement going on here. But right now, some of them are battling their overall games, and that's an important thing too.
Yeah, and like I said, it's important for them to build a well-rounded game, and so they're going to have ebbs and flows to their scoring.
Yeah.
But it's something to see. Like, what lines does Snowden keep together? What changes does he make? Like, what other roster changes are there going to be that will affect things? And I think that it's just something that Snowden is going to have to manage, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that aspect of it plays out, and how these top prospects can take steps forward.
The good thing with Snowden is he has not overhyped any of these prospects, and that's good.
Correct. Yeah, no, he's very, very realistic and plain when he talks about these guys, which is good. On the goaltending side, obviously we saw Aleksei Kolosov was the goaltender in the 3-0 loss, but like, honestly, he kept them in the game. None of it was his fault.
Yeah.
I think much like in the Flames game, like, it wasn't entirely on him why the team lost. Friday, Carson Bjarnason, 30 saves on 33 shots, looked pretty solid in that game. Yannick Peretz, who got the call up, I think looked okay too. He made some really good saves on breakaways. There's like one of the goals I'd maybe want back, but overall, very pleased with his first performance with the Phantoms this year.
No, good for him. That, they're going to need this depth, because we don't know how often Sam Erson's going to hit the IR.
Right, exactly. So I think it's good for him to get experience playing with the Phantoms, because they will need him intermittently throughout the season. That is for sure. And I think it's, this week will be interesting for Carson Bjarnason.
Yeah, because you can't overload him with games either.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec, but I do want to talk about the special teams here, because the power play just absolutely has to get better, and I'm hoping that Kyrou is going to be the guy that will help them if Emile Andre is not there.
He can't hurt. That's his specialty, so I would think it's going to help.
Yeah, he looks great on the power play so far, so very happy to see that. Do I wish it was a Flyers prospect defenseman? 100%.
Yeah.
But those 2 guys that could potentially do it are both hurt. So
that's a Kyrou trait. That's just, his brother's like that on the power play too. So
yeah. The penalty kill got a little better this week. Last week it was 5 for 10 on the week. This week it was 7 for 10. So still room for improvement. but I think that it was a little better. So that is a good sign.
That's
But
good.
I do want to see more from the Phantoms special teams over the next couple of weeks and see some improvements there again, especially on the power play side. They just need to, I think they need faster puck
Yeah,
movement to
for
have like
sure.
more set plays. And I think that'll be good for player development as well.
Agreed.
When we're looking ahead to this week of action, I do think that there is an opportunity for Carson Bjarnason to play both games if, Kolosov doesn't come back
Right.
down to the Phantoms, but it's just a 2-game week where they're at
Yeah,
Bridgeport
they
on
could handle that.
Wednesday. Yeah, so they're at Bridgeport on Wednesday, and they're playing the Marlies on Saturday. So I'd just put Bjarnason in for both games and see what happens.
Call it a day. Yep.
So it'll be a really good week, I think, with only 2 games for the Phantoms to really be fresh for each of these games. And I want to see that rookie line back together again from John Snowden, but we'll see what he decides to do, and we'll talk about it next week when we come back for our weekly report on the Phantoms. We will be back tomorrow, of course, to recap Flyers versus Habs and answer your mailbag questions. So get them in via any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen. Today, for your next listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. It's every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. You can get local analysis on a national scale with NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.